Good morning. It is Friday, the 19th of September 2025. Just be here now. I was just over there a few minutes ago by that log, but now, and I can zoom out, I'm here. All is beautiful everywhere, in a state in the now, or we're not. Even when we're actually with the thoughts which we believe will help us, but actually they're just increasing our worry, increasing our blood pressure. You can let go of it. The now is always here. Whenever we're ready to let go of that which doesn't serve us, the negative is just a fictional reality, or rather a fiction we have decided is reality because we have taught ourselves that we need to worry all the time. We need to think about what we did, what we said, what someone else said to us in the past, or what might happen in the future. We can just let go of it. And when we do, from my experience, we can feel the objective. The objective is positive. I've had much adversity in my life. But when I let go of how I should perceive it, bad things that have happened, I can see, I have done so much, that actually the objective truth and the positive have much in common. They are connected. I don't have to be so sure what the bad, quote unquote bad thing was that happened. That maybe it was just trying to show me the good, the growth, the letting go of the worry and dwelling on the things which don't serve us. You can always just let go of the thoughts. When you do, more balanced thoughts might occur to you and you'll realise, perhaps, I hope, that it was actually really beautiful. But I think it's more about jettisoning the things which don't help us. Like overthinking, in a way that's a poison, you know. Or it can be. But thinking can be really good if it's balanced, just like everything. I mean, unsurprisingly, I appreciate what I'm saying is not a great revelation. But one of the biggest benefits I've had in the last year or so is jettisoning the thoughts, the worries, the anxieties I have about the future, whether it's the quote unquote imminent future, or it's anywhere from, you know, long term, halfway. Hopefully you get me. I often feel like I'm being very clear post-brain injury, and sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I couldn't be more wrong. But you know, sometimes it's like I'm speaking another language, sometimes it feels to me like other people are. But yeah, what's helped me most in the last year is breath work, meditation, but not necessarily preparing to meditate. For instance, Eckhart Tolle doesn't ever meditate. He's just, in his own words, he's effectively always in an analog or an equivalent of the meditative state, no matter what he's doing. And that actually helped me a lot, because one of the things that used to put me off meditation is the preparation. You know, I've got to sit cross-legged, I've got to get my yoga mat, I've got to get my yoga square because of my old spiral fracture injury. I've got lots of titanium in my left femur from a previous time that I was very lucky to not die, just before my 20th birthday. And all the titanium was put in there to do the work for my femur. You know, I'm very grateful to medical science for that, but I can't sit cross-legged comfortably. But the yoga square helps, but you don't have to sit cross-legged to meditate. You can just drop the thinking, just be here now, because that's all there is. The thoughts of the past are subjective perceptions of what happened, particularly when there's negative, too much negative, because I think that quote-unquote negative experience, it's not really about, in the long term at least, but it requires us to sort of try and look for the positive early on. It's about what good can it give us, how can it aid our growth, the adversity itself. Because in the short term, when something terrible happens, on whatever level, because we can experience trauma based on so many things, and a lot of that has to do with our own idiosyncrasies, our own personality, our own unique self, and how we uniquely perceive the world. Something that someone says, the way we perceive it can actually be far more traumatic than a minor car crash. Let's say I'm not a doctor, but let's say it gives you anxiety by pushing you to the negative perspective of God, I nearly died there. But of course we all know we are going to one day. But I feel like even that sort of, let's say, minor car crash, it was actually there to offer us the balanced perception of what could have happened, how to feel the trauma if we have a traumatic response, but don't grasp onto it. So try to let go and try to stay aware of what the experience is trying to teach us, what adjustments to the direction we're in our life, maybe it can point us towards. Because I do feel from my experience that the truth, which is objective, so as a subjective being, a human being just like you, how close can I ever really get to the objective through a very subjective lens? But my experiences have shown me repeatedly that, or gifted me rather, strong evidence that the truth and the positive are close neighbours. And I think it's actually all too easy to choose despair or anything remotely in that neighbourhood, because I think it tells us lies. I certainly know depression does, and chronic anxiety did for many years, but I always chose to not believe it. I'm so grateful for that. Yeah. There is just now, this moment. And the thoughts, the anticipations of the imminent future, things we have in our schedules, that's also a fiction if we dwell on it too much. That's not to say that preparation is a bad thing. Preparation is a beautiful thing. But again, when it's balanced, anything can be good when balanced. But then, of course, balance, unfortunately, but balance is an objective thing. So I think as subjective beings, we do need to repeatedly go through trial and error and do our best to take a step back from how our body's feeling, how our mind's feeling, and think, if I was just the observer, if I wasn't actually the person whose body I'm in, how would I advise that person? Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm glad I did this, whether I upload it at some point, sooner or later or not. When the time comes, if the time comes, I'll make the decision in the now. Not far before it, because future, just like the past, it's ultimately just a fiction, really. It only becomes true when we can see the positives that are happening, have happened, will continue to, the more we are balanced, the more we stick to the balanced path faithfully, monogamously, just like you would to someone who you're with, your romantic partner, you're happy with. And if that's not reality for you yet, then if that's something that you feel you need in the long term, then I hope that happens. But it's the work we do on ourselves, with ourselves, in the moment, keeping an eye out for things, keeping an eye out for the things that tell us they're helping us. Because I think the worried, vigilant mind is really trying to help us, but it's like a friend who really has our best interests at heart, but really doesn't have the expertise to help, even though it really wants to. And I guess the conclusion to that, and I'm not going to go into this next bit that much, but I really believe that strength in its true form is being good, not doing harm, looking for the positive in yourself, in others, realising that what anyone else does or says that we can be sure isn't right or fair is actually about them, and almost certainly unconscious or traumas that are still in the blind spot. They're not about us, they're about their signs for the things they still need to do, but that's not anything to do with us. We can only work on transmuting our hard times and our adversities we've survived, and keep faith that there is gold, there is light in the dark, and the hard times don't come to stay forever, they come so they can pass, and that we can let go of the dark and see beyond it, and transmute it into something beneficial in a growing sense, in a growth sense. And there's no destination for growth, but the more we do, the more we can actually enjoy this moment. There'll always be challenges, but they're there in the short term, and the immediate situation of hard times, trauma, adversity. It does often show like a adversary, but I believe in the long term, adversity itself is actually trying to be our friend. But that's part of the challenge. And I can't see it for you, and you can see it for yourself, but I'm very confident that is what it's meant to be. Because it's amazing. My neurologist said a year or two ago that he can't explain why I didn't die of my injuries. Ultimately, before I'd been in hospital for a few days, but I survived. Just like I've survived all the bad things so far, but one day I'll go. I just want to keep growing, keep enjoying, keep letting go of what doesn't serve me, because I can only love others well if I love myself, first and foremost. There is no house without balanced, correct foundations first, right? Anyway, I'll leave it there. Much love. Be kind to yourself. You're doing your best. And just return to this moment whenever you need to. The thoughts, the worries, they're trying to help. They mean well, but they're not qualified to be mentors. Let's just put it that way. But bless them, they're doing the best, just like you are. All the best. Bye. Just recording a little bit more. Think about beautiful days, isn't it? There's always something else to film.